Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Allie's Take. I'm Coach Allie. I'm really happy to be with you today. It feels like it's been a minute. I've had some really great guests on the series that I've been so grateful that some of my fellow coaches have joined me to talk about some very interesting topics. I hope you've been able to check them out. But I'm coming here solo today. It's just me. And I wanted to talk today about sleep efforts. So this is one of those things that I feel like sometimes gets a bad rap in our community and might be a little bit misunderstood. So today let's talk about sleep efforts. First and foremost, it's important to understand how we define this term. And so our number one point is defining this. So here at the Sleep Coach School, we define a sleep effort as anything we do intended to force, control, or protect sleep, right? So, and this comes from an understanding that sleep is inherently an effortless process, right? It isn't something that we have direct control over. So when we find ourselves in the insomnia struggle, chances are really good that we've tried just about everything. And when we come to recovery, we've most of us have implemented many, many, many different sleep efforts or attempts to try to control, fix, or manage sleep, right? Which is a very human thing that most anybody would do when they have had this experience and developed insomnia. So there's nothing inherently bad or wrong about sleep efforts. It is only that when we are doing something to try and force a very natural process, an effortless process, oftentimes what happens is that gets pushed further away. So sleep kind of becomes even more elusive. So what we really want to talk about here are the two words in our definition, the word effort and the word intend. So the word effort, of course, the reason why this is important is because sleep is an effortless process. And so when we're putting effort into an effortless process, it really makes the pressure grow. So now we've got so much pressure to sleep and we're trying all these things. We're efforting all of these different attempts to produce sleep, right? And and so this can really get us in a little bit of a loop here and going down all these rabbit holes trying all the different things. And the other word here is intent. And that's a very key word here because of course, like I said before, and as we've talked about on the channel many times, there's nothing inherently bad or wrong about a sleep effort per se. It is really the intention behind the thing, behind whatever we do, right? And so we're going to talk about that a little bit more. But the third point here is to just put it really simply, efforts equal pressure. So when we're talking about sleep, which is this effortless process, and when we're doing things to try to control, fix, or manage an effortless process, it can really keep us in this inner struggle, this self-perpetuated cycle of the struggle of insomnia, right? And so this is why we talk about how sleep efforts can kind of keep us stuck. And the reason why that is this fourth principle that's really so important to understand. And that is to understand that nothing outside of us can produce sleep. Sleep is always coming from within our own bodies. So there's nothing that we need to do, be, or have to have sleep happen. It is an automatic, effortless process, right? And there's nothing outside of us in our external experience, our external environment that can make sleep happen for us. That's just not the way it works. It always comes from our own bodies, it always comes from within. So once we understand that, like truly, truly understand that concept, it really becomes null and void because nothing that we do outside of ourselves really makes any difference, right? Sleep efforts themselves are neutral. We are assigning meaning and to the sleep effort, right? So this is where it can get a little sticky because beliefs are so powerful. And so much of this comes down to where we put our belief, what we think and believe about these external things. And why it can get tricky there is because if we're giving the power to sleep to something outside of ourselves, at some point it will inevitably fail because nothing outside of us produces sleep. And so then we find ourselves once again in this conundrum, you know, and so we have to relook at what our intention is behind these actions or these efforts, right? And excuse me, it can really be pretty simple here. It can really come down to shifting our perspective on it. Once we have the basic understanding that nothing outside of us has the ability to produce sleep, that is very key. And once we really do understand that, like I said, it really doesn't matter what we do, but it is important and helpful to shift our perspective. And that is to say that we can get really clear kind of within ourselves about what our intention is, right? And because when we keep efforting, we sort of stay within this like circular struggle, right? So we can ask ourselves a couple of questions here. And I hope you find these helpful, but I definitely did during my recovery. So I would ask these questions to myself. Number one, am I doing this in attempts to control, force, or protect sleep? Or am I doing this because it feels like a nice way of taking care of myself, supporting myself, regardless of sleep, right? So I'm becoming less attached to the outcome of any given night. And I might be doing something in the way of supporting myself, making myself as comfortable as I can within the discomfort. And that is perfectly okay. There is nothing wrong with that. Where it gets sticky is if we are looking to a thing outside of ourselves to make sleep happen, right? So it's like we're if we're going to listen to a meditation or we're going to take magnesium or melatonin or you know drink a tea or it doesn't matter. The list is long, right? Medications fall under this as well. It doesn't matter what the thing is. If we're doing the thing, taking the thing, right? Whatever, and we're looking to that thing to make sleep happen, it's going to get tricky because nothing outside of us has that power. And not only that, but when we give our power to something outside of ourselves, it makes us kind of have this experience or this feeling that, wow, there's something really internally wrong with us when this thing fails to work. Because, of course, it can't, it doesn't have the power to do that. So it's really helpful not to give our power away to something outside of ourselves when nothing outside of ourselves has the power to produce sleep or to produce peaceful state of mind and being, right? That's always an effortless process. And that's kind of what we're getting to here. So if we look to the thing as, oh my gosh, this has to work, or I'm really in trouble, I'm really screwed, right? There's so much pressure built up. There's so much pressure, and the stakes get really high. And so we know that sleep just does not thrive under pressure. And so this is why these two questions can be really, really helpful. There's absolutely nothing wrong with supporting ourselves, taking care of ourselves, showing ourselves kindness, right? So if for example, I have clients that, take magnesium and ask me, is this a sleep effort? And I share these questions with them because here's the thing, that the supplement, the medication, the tinctures, the teas, whatever it is, they are neutral, right? It is the belief and the power we give them that has that gets sticky, right? And so if we are doing something, taking something, or doing some sort of an activity just because it feels nice, just because I feel like this is a good way of supporting myself, like just my overall well-being. I don't It doesn't have anything to do with sleep. I don't care about the sleep. I'm not using it for that. I'm using it as a way to support myself or take care of myself or support my overall well-being, right? So that's a really good distinction to understand, because what I have seen happen, unfortunately, is people will get so um, kind of stuck in this idea of sleep efforts, and it can become its own rabbit hole, right? Like we're just overthinking that. Is this a sleep effort? Is this a sleep effort? Am I doing this wrong? Am I doing, And so we get into our own, a little trap here with the sleep efforts. And so I really just want to say, it's okay. It's okay. If something makes you feel better, makes you feel like nice way of taking care of yourself, it's totally fine, right? You don't have to throw everything out. That's not the intention of this teaching. It's to help you understand that sleep always comes from your own body, and it is truly an effortless process. So that is really the underlying teaching here. And so, just to finish up here, talking a little bit about moving from attachment to attunement, and this is about listening. This is about um, kind of listening to our intuition and what is going to support us best on our journey. And it's really going to look different for everybody, right? But as we practice responding to the difficult thoughts, feelings, and sensations that come along with going through an insomnia, we start to respond differently. We start to show the brain that this is really all safe to experience. There's nothing dangerous here, there's nothing life threatening. Then the brain starts to understand this by way of our actions and our behaviors, and our attachment can start to lessen now, right? It can start to lessen towards any given night, the outcome of any given night. And then we can listen to what we need in a way that isn't coming from fear, but coming from our own internal compass, attuning to that. And so, what that really is getting clear on intention and attuning to what you need and allowing that to guide you, right? Listening to yourself above everybody else, okay? Including any coaches, including me, including your doctor even, what you know best for you. Because recovery is really such a personal journey, and if we can move away from attachment and having these, you know, efforts and these mechanisms of trying to control our situation and lessen our attachment to these external things, right? And understand that the power is always within us, that is where that attunement comes in. And that is where there can be so much space and freedom, because we're listening to ourselves, we're listening to our needs and attuning to ourselves in this way. It's really part of this process. It does sort of kind of happen organically and naturally as we move through recovery. So I hope that helps maybe demystify and just give you a little bit of support when you're working with the concept of sleep efforts. So know that this journey is it's really somewhat life changing in my opinion. And if you just give it a little bit of time, if you can trust yourself to know that you know what's best for you, you really, really will get there. I appreciate you taking the time to watch the video today, and I appreciate you being part of our community. If you need more support, know we're here for you. You can reach out on Instagram. My handle is Sacred Sleep Coach. You can reach out on the Sleep Coach School website, sleepcoachschool.com. I'm available for one-on-ones there. You can always instant message me, and we have amazing, amazing community programs. Our group program, the immunity program, and also our bedtime app. So we can support you in so many ways. So many wonderful coaches on that site that you can set up one-on-one sessions with as well. Thank you for taking the time. I really appreciate you being here, and I hope that was helpful.
Hi, it's me, Coach Daniel, and I hope you found the video you just saw full of inspirational content and full of educational content as well, because that's really what we try to do here in the school. We try to educate and inspire. And if you're finding that things are clicking for you and sleep is happening easier and you're leaving the struggle, please let us know in the comment section, because we live for that. We live for hearing how somebody is finding sleep and life becoming lighter and easier. And not only are you doing us a huge favor as sleep coaches and filling our tank with that gas that makes us never want to stop doing this, but you're also helping the community. You're helping by inspiring other people, and by commenting, you're telling YouTube that this was interesting, and YouTube feeds our content to more people so that they can discover our teachings and things get easier for them. So again, if you found things getting easier for you, please let us know in the comment section. We can't wait to hear from you.